This video covers filling out the table character class for a PDS4 label. In this video we will cover when to include a character table in your archive and how to fill out the table character class. We will be using the Oxygen XML editor to view the label file and PDS4 Viewer to view the character table. PDS4 Viewer, Excel, or any text editor can be used to view the character tables. Feel free to pause or go back in the video at any time. Character tables can be used to archive related data of a variety of formats together in one table, and the table can represent numerical values to arbitrary precision. Every field or column in the table is fixed width. The width of the fields should be at least as wide as its largest entry. This can lead to gutter space or strings of blanks that fill out the field to the fixed width. Character tables are also preferred for their human-readable entries, ability to read the file directly into a spreadsheet, and the simplicity of reading the values using any major programming language. These positive aspects of character tables can also lead to a negative result. The tables can become very large. If your character table contains a lot of blank space, consider converting it to a table delimited structure, for example using a format commonly known as CSV, or comma-separated value. If your character table is so large that it is difficult to download and open, consider converting it to a table binary structure to reduce the size. Table delimited and table binary structures are described in other tutorials. Table character is a class within the File Area Observational class of a Product Observational Label file. We will cover the entire File Area Observational class in this video. There are two classes that come before table character in File Area Observational: File and Header. The File class provides the identifying information for the character table file. The attributes for the File class are file name, local identifier, and creation date time. The first attribute which is required is file name. The path to the file is relative to the label, so just the name is required. This is the name of the file containing the character table. If a file needs to be referenced elsewhere in a label, you must include the local identifier attribute. Choose a short descriptive name. Note that this local identifier singles out the file itself, not any data structures that might be contained within the file. Creation date time is the time at which the data file was created. It is not required. Our example includes the name and the creation date time. Our example label doesn't have one, but a common data structure in many files is a header, which can be described with the optional header class. There are three required attributes in the header class: offset, object length, and parsing standard ID. Offset is the offset in bytes from the start of the file to the start of the header. If there is no offset, insert 0. The object length is the size of the header in bytes. The parsing standard ID attribute is chosen from a list of available terms spelled out in the core PDS data dictionary. The value indicates how the bytes in the header object should be read. Next comes the table character class. You need to have an instance of table character for every character table in your file. There are three required attributes: offset, records, and record delimiter. Offset is the offset in bytes from the beginning of the file holding the table data to the first character in the table. Since our example does not have a header, the value is 0. Records is the total number of records in the table. For table character, the record delimiter must be carriage return line feed or line feed. There are 5 optional attributes: name, local identifier, MD5 checksum, and description. Our example table has a descriptive name, radcal, and it is entered here in the name attribute. This example doesn't have a local identifier, but it should be included if the table needs to be referenced elsewhere in the label. The local identifier should be formatted as a variable name used in programming, so replace any spaces with dashes or underscores. MD5 checksum, if included, should be calculated using only the bytes of the character table itself. Include any searchable keywords or additional comments in the description attribute, like the explanatory comment in our example. Include the optional uniformly sampled class here if your table includes data that is uniformly spaced in some dimension. Record character is a required class in table character. There are 3 required attributes, each of which describes the format of the records or rows in the table. Fields is the number of field character classes in the table. Do not count group field character classes. Groups is the number of group field character classes in the table. If your table only contains field character classes, then the value for groups is 0. If your table only contains group field character classes, then the value for fields should be 0. Record length is the length of the complete record, including all fields, all repetitions of group fields, all spaces between fields, and including the record delimiters. The remaining 2 classes of table character are optional, but at least one of them must be present. They may be repeated as many times as needed. Our example includes 39 instances, one for each column in the table, of the field character class, and no group field character classes. Field character describes one field and has the following required attributes: name, field location, data type, and field length. Name is the name of the field. PDS recommends the name be something human readable and a meaningful column header. Field location is the number of bytes from the first byte in the record to the first byte in the field, counting the first byte in the record as 1. Notice that this is different from the offset attribute of table character, which is counted from 0. The list of possible data type values is listed in the Standard Values Quick Reference and describes the type of values in the field. The length of the field in bytes is then recorded in the field length attribute. Optional attributes for field character are field number, field format, unit, scaling factor, value offset, description, special constant, and field statistics. This example includes the optional attributes field number, unit, and description. The optional group field character class is used to describe a group of repeating fields in the record. There are 5 required attributes: repetitions, fields, groups, group location, and group length, and 3 optional attributes: name, group number, and description. If needed, the group can be labeled with the name attribute. It can also be designated with the group number, such as groups 1, 2, 3, etc. Repetitions is required and is the number of times the complete group is repeated. The complete group includes all the field characters and group field characters included in this group field character. These groups can be nested. The required attribute fields notes the number of field character classes that are nested directly under this group field character instance. If there are no field character classes nested, then the entry will be 0. Likewise, the required groups attribute notes the number of group field character classes nested under this group field character instance. Include a description to describe this group of fields if needed. The location of the first byte of this group relative to the location of the record character or group field character this group is included in is recorded in the required group location attribute. Group length is required and is the length of the entire group in bytes. Thank you for watching our video covering filling out the table character class for a PDS4 label. In this video we covered when to include a character table in your archive and how to fill out the table character class.